No.
We just might as well quit today.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, it's raining in South Carolina. You're supposed to cancel class when it's raining here.
Hey, just say the word.
And snowflake, good God Almighty, snowflake means the whole world is shutting down in South Carolina. Go buy bread and milk. And use Fluffy 4 scare the heck out of everybody.
And what?
Use Fluffy 4 scares the heck out of everybody.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about this winter's blizzard, John? Yes, we've only had a half inch so far, and it's not sticking, but we want to scare the heck out of everybody. So if you're a little old lady and you don't have, you don't have any food, you're going to starve to death. Today's the night. All right. This doesn't work, we're going to quit. Just going to let y'all go home, and I'm going to blame it on the little guy that is very discouraged.
Yeah, don't say this, sorry.
Name. Y'all just want to see the little chemistry guy get in trouble. Fractions, decimals, and percents. Now the first part of this, I'm just going to show you the difference between the three, and of course most of y'all know that. But the second part, I'll show you the two types of questions you're going to get pretty much on the test. Of course, a fraction. If I have a piece of pizza, if I have a pizza, and I divide it into 4 sections, then 4 out of 4 make up the whole. If I eat one piece, I've eaten a quarter, which is 0.25. If I eat 2 pieces out of the pizza, I've eaten 1/2, or 0.5. So on a fraction, the numerator is going to be the pieces that are taken, the pieces that are sold, the pieces that are subtracted, the pieces that are eaten, the pieces that are, in other words, something is done to those pieces. Whether they're thrown away, whether they're added to each other, whether they're subtracted to each other, and that is the numerator. Numerator represents the number that is affected. Affected. A-F-F-E-C-T-E-D. The denominator does not change. The denominator represents how many was in the original quantity. In this case, 4. It does not change. And that is basically a fraction. Now, the only way that the numbers will change is if you slice up the pizza in more than just 4 pieces. If you know when you're home and you get hungry and you go put a DiGiorno's pizza, DiGiorno's is the best pizza. Okay? Cheese crust, big old stuffed crust. Put that in there. And if there's just 2 people, do you break it up into 15 slices? No. Most of you do it by quarters. And that way, and then if anybody wants a half of a quarter, you cut it in half or whatever. But if you have a bunch of kids there, you maybe do it like that. And instead of 4 in the total, you have 8. The old people work at Pizza Hut know that. That's 8. Right quick. Then the numerator changes by how many is eaten. But the denominator does not change, but it does change from 4 to what? 8. So now 8 out of 8 is equal to a whole. And if you eat 3 pieces, then you've eaten 3/8 of the pizza. If you've eaten, and that comes out to be some number, decimal. And if you've eaten 4 pieces, then that's equal to 1/2. And you see that this reduces this into 1/2, just like the 2 out of 4. Because the 2 out of 4, if you take your handy dandy blue pencil, 2 out of 4 is the same as what? 2 out of 4 is the same as 4 out of 8. See? You still get the same thing, 1/2. All right? So your 2 out of 4, 4 out of 8 still gives you the 1/2, and which is 0.5. Okay?
I
Here's
just
your 2
circle
out of
a
4
fourth
right
of
here.
it.
2 out of 4.
Oh, there you go.
2 out of 4. Here's your 2. So the blue is 2 out of 4. But 2 out of 4 also represents your 4 out of 8. Represents the same thing. And that's where you get, and a lot of people say, well, I don't understand how you get 2/4 is equal to 4/8. Well, that's how. 1, 2, 3, 4. That half of the pizza is still the same half that you, when you didn't have kids in the house, you broke it up into what? 2 pieces right there. It's the same thing. It's still the same half of the pizza. And that's how you get this right here. Okay? So that's why when you go to Lowe's and ask for a 50/100 wrench, why should you not wait for the person to find a 50/100 wrench? Because a 50/100 wrench is what? Is a 1/2 wrench.
I did what you told me to do. I ordered some food and it was like,
What did you do?
no, like I gave her like change over, and I was just like,
What did she do?
she freaked out. Like
Yeah.
she was like, you gave me too much. I was like, no, I want a dime back. And she was like,
I did it too, just to be a bitch.
Okay, that person takes a calculator and twirls them around on their fingers.
yeah, she worked at Tri-County Cafe, so.
Yeah. So you need to, now what you really need to do is go to Lowe's and ask for a 50/100 wrench, or ask for a level bulb. Tell them you need a level bulb to put in your level. See if somebody goes and finds it. All right, so that's a fraction. Now, how do you divide a fraction into, how do you make a fraction into a decimal? Well, you just do it. How do you make a fraction into a decimal? You just do it. Now, what does that mean, Hubert? Well, 1 divided by 2. Well, what does that say? I'm going to take 2 and I'm going to what? Divide it into 1. 2 divided into 1. I'm doing it. I'm doing exactly what this says. 1 divided by 2. 1 divided by 2. 2 will go into 1. It will not go into 1. So you put a decimal here and you add a, and then you put a decimal there. 2 will go into 10 5 times. And there's your decimal. So the 3/8 that we did not have a decimal for a while ago. Is 8 divided into what? 8 will not go into 3. So you put a 0 and add 8 will go in there. How many times? 3 times? That old 24. 60. 8 times what? 8 times 7 is 56. Well, you get the point. 56, and that'll be 4. So your decimal for 3/8 is 0.375. Well, how do you make a decimal into a fraction? Well, you got to remember your place value. Okay? What place value is that 5 in? The hundredth, right? So you put 75 over what? And now you reduce. 5 will go into 75, or 25 will go into 75, whatever you want to do. 3 what? And there's how you turn a decimal into a fraction. Decimal into a fraction and fraction into decimal, that's basically two different forms of the number. Alright? It's two different forms. What about percentage? Well, percentage is not really a different form. Percentage is another form of the decimal. Where this is different from this, and this is different from this, the percent is not really different from the decimal, it's just another way of writing it. What does percent mean? Well, if anybody ever watched Andy Griffith, Barney tells you what centus means. Centus is Latin for what?
That's a great question. What does it mean?
Okay, cent, centipede, century, centennial. Y'all are smart.
Thank you.
Centus is Latin for 100. Okay? Somebody tell me what per means. What a cat does. No. What is per? P-E-R. What does per mean?
1, right?
Miles per hour.
1.
Means divided by. So somebody tell me what percent means.
Divided by, like, out of a whole, which is 100.
Divided by 100.
That's what-
Yeah, I really want y'all to read this.
Oh my gosh.
Divided by 100. So if you have 25%, what is that? And now you have a fraction, which can be written as a decimal. So the difference between these two is just the way it's written. It's not really a different form. It's just written a little bit different. Be careful here because some of y'all will go haywire and put 50 and get it wrong. 0.05 because 5% is 5 over 100, and when you divide by 100, you count the number of zeros and move that decimal place 2 places to the left, right? So that would be 5, 1, 2. So the answer there is 0.05. Now what if I have a decimal and I want to write it as what if I have a decimal and I want to write it as a percent? .375 is a perfect example. .355. How did I get 375 out of that? I suck. 375. Okay. If percent means over 100, then changing to percent means multiply by 100, right? If you multiply by 100, you move the decimal place what? 2 places to the right. So, uno, dos. So when you're moving from a decimal to a percent, you multiply by 100. Of course, 90% of you remember this, and some of you just now learned a few things. You don't need to raise your hand on any of it. Just keep your mouth quiet. We'll just keep on moving. Now, how many of these will be on the test? Probably none. But the next problems we go over will be on the test. The first type of problem that you're going to see is called a sentence problem. Now, most of you have seen these, and these are all over standardized testing. You take the SAT, the PSAT, the Compass, the nursing exam, whatever kind of exam you take to go to Michelin, whatever kind of exam you take to get into Bosch, you're going to take a standardized test, and it's going to have one of these on it, if not more. 15 is what percent of 42? 40% of 56 is what number? And I can think of the next one is, let's see, is of, okay, 56 or 52 is 30% of what number? There's your three types of questions you'll see with a sentence type question. If you notice, 15 is what percent? The percent is X. 40% of 56 is what number? Is the X. And 52 is 30% of what number? Of is the X. So what those three things, you put them in a formula, and then all you have to do is plug and chug. And that formula is what? Is of equals percent over 100. That's the formula. And so far, I have done neither. 20 years, that's the only two things I haven't done.
Falling down and what else?
My zipper being... And for guys, it's easy to do because when you get up in the morning, you throw on your clothes,
Don't
it's
even.
really easy to forget.
Don't
Yeah.
even.
Okay, I'm sorry. We just
Don't.
have it so hard in the morning. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, God. Get my hair done is the worst thing, honestly.
Yeah, mine too. I'm having a bad hair day today. Oh, I forgot mine. Okay. 15 is what percent of 42? What do? Well, you go through and you find out what goes with what. Now, this is real simple. Don't make it hard. 15 is what percent of 42? So 15 goes where? On top of 42 equals X over 100. And now you just cross multiply and solve. No, y'all. I'm trying to teach up here. 15 is what percent? Just multiply across. You get 42X is equal to 1500. Now take your calculators out. Notice I said take your calculators out because you what? You need them unless you're Rain Man. Divide by 42. Divide by 42. X is equal to, somebody do that for me. Some of you that were on the calculator drill team in high school.
0.028.
Huh?
0.028.
0.028. And that is what? 2.8 what? Percent. So 15 is 3% of 42. Or 2.8% to be precise. All right, now you try the next two. And if you can't do them, then just chalk it up as your failure. Quit school so you can live where? In a ditch.
At the trap.
In a ditch. What'd you say? Blue, you don't like it? Okay, I'll change it. Anything for you, Mr. Wilford?
What's black?
Really? I thought I did the whole thing. Did I? Watch you do the whole thing now. Change it to black.
Thank you.
So, what goes in the percent spot? The percent spot.
40.
40%, so that's 40 over 100, of 56. What goes in the is spot? Cross multiply. 100x is equal to 40 times 56. Now you really don't need a calculator here, because what's 10% of, or 10%, you could say 10 times 560 is what? Or 56 is 560, and multiply that times 4, you could do that, which would be 2440. Well, I'm sorry, yeah, I had an extra zero. So you could do that, and then divide by 100, be knock off 2, move it 2 places. What do you come up with? Or do it in your calculator. Let's see, 4 times 56 would be 24. I think it'd be 2420, would it not? 2420 and then 24.2. What do you get? Huh?
2240.
2240, okay. And then 2240 divided by 100 would be 22.4. That's what I was trying to do in my head. 22.4. So, 40% of 56 is what? Well, let's check that with a little bit of common sense. What's half of 56? 28. 28. So, is that about right? 50% of 56 would be what? 28. 40% is 22. It's about right. All right, what do you do here? 52 goes where? On the is spot. What goes in the of spot? And then what goes in the percent spot? Over. $30x is equal to 5,200. You do not need a calculator, because what happens to the zeros when you divide 30 into, 2 of the zeros cancel, and then you divide 3 into 52, then dang old 16 is 48, and that'll leave 40. So I done lost it. But anyway, 3 will go in there 1 time, 7 times, 1 time, 22 be 7, then 10, 3, Might help me out.
.3.
And then I want it to repeat.
Yeah.
So 173.3. So 52 is 30% of 173. So your sentence problems, that's what's going to be on your standardized test. You might see one or two on your Unit 1 test. Most of the time you're going to see word problems. So let's talk about that. Because, again, 90% of you have no problem with this. 10% of you go, okay, I like that. I've never seen that before. And then maybe 1% of you are going, well, I don't want to use it. Well, you do use whatever you want. All right, Walmart equation. This is something I came up with a long time ago. Everybody uses it, you just don't know it. Because everybody has went into a store, yeah, just leave, have went into a store with $5 or $10 in their pocket. This is before debit cards, okay? Before debit cards, you walked into a store, or for those that never had a debit card, okay? Some of you were kids, and you walked into a store with $10. What could you get? Well, you would estimate, wouldn't you? You'd go, okay, well that's $4.97, but I'm not going to say $4.97, I'm going to say $5. And what is, this is show you how out of touch I am. What is the taxes in Anderson right now?
6%.
Oh, I thought it was 7.
I thought it went up to 7.
Is it 6? All right, so what you do is you multiply 5 times 6, and then what do?
Yeah.
Add that 30 cents back to what?
The price.
The $5. Everybody's done that, right? Then that's what the Walmart equation is. You take the total plus or minus the percent total is equal to the total that you pay, or not the total price. So this is the Walmart equation. X plus or minus percentage X is equal to the total. This is something I came up with when I started teaching like my second semester. And a lot of people, the first couple of semesters I taught it, I got these people that invented mathematics that would go, well, why don't you just use the sentence problems and da-da-da. Well, there's some problems you can't use the sentence problems for. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you walking down the main action alley. You know I worked at Walmart when you called the main action alley. All right, you walk down, you got a dang old bin, you don't know the type, and it's sitting in the main action alley, and it's got teddy bears, or I can't draw teddy bears, so we're just going jewel boxes there. Jewel box. Okay, anyway, it's a fancy, let's say, lockbox. That's what it is, lockbox, and it's $27.97. All right. No, let's don't do that because you can do that with the sentence problem.
God bless.
Let's do 20% off, 23% off. All right, 23% off. We can do 20% off. It doesn't matter, but we're going to do 23% off. And you at Walmart, and you look for the tag that has price on it, and guess what? It's not there. Okay, because you're at Walmart, not Target. All right, so because you know what Target stands for, don't you? Pay the extra money not to go to Walmart. That's what it stands for. So you got a tag and it's ripped off, and you don't know how much it costs, but you know it's 23% off, and you need one, so you want to get it. So what is the total price? You go up to the scanner, one of them scanner things, and it scans like at the cash register for $57.13. Okay, now you're not wanting to talk. You're not talking about taxes, because I'm not asking you what the final price is after taxes. All right, I want you to tell me what the original price on the price tag is. Okay? When you ask me a question, and I start texting when you asking me a question,
Yes, sir.
you can't say a word.
All right.
Next time I'm going to say something else. What did I tell y'all? I treat you the way what? Now what is that?
Disrespect.
It is disrespectful and rude. All right. I'm not mad at you or anything. Don't go walk out of here saying I'm mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I just wanted to stop you before I had to say the second thing to you. Second time I say something a little bit rougher. Third time I ask you to leave. All right. So most people go, oh, I know how to do this. Take 57.13, multiply it by 23, and take it off. And you're wrong. You are wrong. So now that I've told you that your way is wrong, do it another way. I don't know how to do it. Well, use the Walmart equation. X, we don't know X, do we? Are we taking off or are we adding? So it'd be X minus 0.23X is equal to 57.13. Now this is what gets everybody. I go down here and I say 0.77x is equal to 57.13. And then I divide by 0.77. And then somebody does that in your calculator for me. And what do you get? Don't worry, I'll get to that in just a minute because I know somebody's dying. Where did 177 come from?
We're talking
Be all
about
right.
74,
How much?
74.19.
Is that what everybody got?
I don't know, or we just all.
I'm asking anybody else. Now, where did this 0.77 come from? Whenever I teach this type of problem, or whether I'm teaching an algebra problem, that's what this is, I always give, where did that 0.77 come from? Well, go back and look. There's something in front, that's a zero. Let me ask you a question. If that was a zero, what would that zero do to this first term? Zero times anything is what?
0.
And there wouldn't be any use for this term, would there?
No.
So it's not zero, it's what?
1.
And 1 minus 23 cents is what? 77 cents. And that's how you do the Walmart equation. Whenever you want to find the original price of something, this one is the one to use. Now you can do it with the sentence problems, but it takes 2 or 3 steps. And it's not worth teaching because this is a whole lot easier. Now let's do it the way that y'all will think y'all can do it. 57.13 times 23%. Somebody do that for me. She already had it written down. 13 what? 13.